Hi, it's Alex from Ready Set Do, and today we're going to learn how to juggle. Juggling's a nice flashy little skill to learn, and it's actually nowhere near as difficult as it looks. Most people can learn in around 30 minutes to an hour. If you've got good hand-eye coordination, obviously you're going to pick it up a little bit quicker than everyone else. I think for me it was around 30 minutes, something like that. So first things first, we're going to have a look at the equipment. With juggling, you always want to try and pick objects which are around the same size, shape and weight. So it's obviously best to have 3 of the same thing. Today I've got standard juggling balls, but I'll show you what else you could use. What I wouldn't recommend are pop figures. But again, if you wanted to, you could, okay? So the 2 main things that come to mind other than juggling balls, because you probably won't have those lying around the house, are these sacky things with beans in them and tennis balls. These are quite nice to use. I think for a beginner, there's probably better options, but because I've been juggling for a long time, I have no problem with these. I actually learnt with tennis balls when I started, but the main issue you'll have with these is the fact they just bounce around the house. You'll end up walking forward a lot and losing the ball, and they'll be flying off in different directions, and yeah, it's not ideal, but if all you've got is tennis balls, that's not a problem. I will just learn with those. Okay, but the main thing is you want 3 of the same thing, all to be the same size, shape and weight. Juggling balls tend to be heavier than juggling balls tend to be heavier than some of the other stuff you have lying around the house, and having something that's relatively heavy, it's easier. You've got more control. All right, so recommend if you have them. If not, you can use something else. Apples are another thing you could use. Probably be a bit battered by the time you're finished, but you work with what you've got, don't you, at the end of the day? All right. Okay, so time to get started. To begin with, we're actually going to ditch 2 of the balls, and we're just going to get started with 1. That's what you're going to need. You just want to become familiar with the qualities of the ball, the weights, the catching it, how it feels in your hands. You just want to make sure that you get everything consistent. That's the key to juggling well, is consistency. So you want to throw around the same height, around eye level or a little bit above is fine. You can go higher, but to begin with, it's going to be difficult to keep those throws consistent. So around the same height, just above eye level. Nice and controlled. Okay, and so when you become familiar with that 1 ball and you are happy with it, you can move on to 2. So with the 2, it's the exact same process, and what I like to do whenever I'm learning a new trick is to make the 2 throws and then just focus on the catching and then stop. So you've got a nice pause. When you try and do continuous throws too quickly, you fail most of the time. So it's better to succeed at something and then gradually build rather than trying to go 0 to 100 too quick. All right, so like that, nice pause. I'm right-handed, so I tend to throw with my right hand first. I mean, you could do it the other way around, but it's just what I'm used to, so it's what I do. Left-handed, you can start left-handed first. Okay, and one thing actually when you get familiar with juggling is you don't actually really need to look at the balls. Like, I'm not really looking at the balls. They're in my peripheral vision, I can see them, but I'm looking at the camera lens, and yeah, it's quite a nice thing. Okay, so once you're familiar with 2 and they're consistent throws and you feel like you can cope with a 3rd, we'll introduce a 3rd ball. We are throwing each consecutive ball at the peak of the prior ball. So as soon as this reaches max height, then the next one goes. All right? So like that. So it's 3 throws, 3 catches. You just want to be consistent, get your timing down, your rhythm. If you wait like that, it's like robotic. If they're inconsistent throws, so these are too quick and that's slow, it just doesn't work. So it's all about being consistent, as I keep repeating. And then as you get more confident, you can move beyond the 3 throws, 3 catches, and maybe do a cycle of 6. So rather than going 1, 2, 3, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then a pause and we go again. You might find it difficult catching the last ball with for me it would be my left hand. especially if you're using a big ball, like a tennis ball, because that might be all you have. I tend to keep part of the hand open to catch the last ball. So if you watch this hand, see there's space for that ball. If you don't wedge it in the back of it, sort of the back of your palm, put it here, there might not be enough room to catch, and that will happen. So it's all about making that room. If you leave your thumb and your pointer finger out, it's ready to be caught. Okay. But again, with tennis balls, they tend to, well, they bounce, don't they? So if you've, even if you wedge the tennis ball right at the bottom of your palm, they might bounce off each other. So that's something to be aware of. And as you juggle more and more, you'll become more confident, and you'll find your own sort of specific method of juggling. Some people like to juggle higher. This is good for preparing you for juggling 4 balls, because you have more time to react to the balls that are as they're falling, so you introduce that 1 extra ball. It's very difficult to do though. Or you can juggle with shorter heights. Some people I've seen juggle more side to side, which I find very strange. This is what I use though, the standard sort of juggling. All right, and honestly, in no time at all, you'll get this down. Like I say, you'll be able to show someone in 30 to 60 minutes, and I'm pretty sure you'll impress them with whatever you've learned. All right. Now, one problem that pretty much every beginner will face when they start learning to juggle is the dreaded walk forward. It's just, for some reason, we naturally tend to throw the ball forward a little bit when we get flustered. And it's that compounding effect where you're trying to save it and you end up walking too far forward. So it's always best to sort of nip that in the bud whenever you can. So one of the best ways to do that is to juggle up against the wall. And then as soon as things get out of control and you throw one too far forward, you catch it, you reset, and then you start again. And that just stops the bad habits from building. Obviously, you'll find your best way of doing it. You might be able to save the ball and bring it back forward. It's just the fact if you want to be in a stationary position when you're juggling, and as soon as you lose control, you just want to reset. You don't want to be throwing the ball at, the house, hitting things off the sides and that, breaking ceramics. So yeah, try and stay in the same position, and if you want, you can juggle against the wall. I never actually did, but I know a lot of people do, and maybe this angle will help you a bit better. So as soon as one goes forward, you try and bring it back. They're going to go forward every now and again. All right. So for the last part of this video, I just want to show you a few extra juggling techniques. Essentially, we're going to learn a over the top throw, and that leads on to about three techniques you can do in addition to the standard juggling. So what we've learned, I believe, is called the 3-ball cascade. Some people think juggling is the shower, but that's not the standard juggling method, and it's definitely harder to learn than the cascade. Nice and controlled. I mean, you can see me a lot quicker, and yeah, so we're not going to do that one. So what we're doing is over the top throws. So essentially, rather than throwing them underneath, as before, when the ball hits the prior ball hits its apex, we throw the ball beneath. We're going to throw the ball over the top instead. So this is what it looks like. We'll just go 1 over and 1 over, like that. And then you want to do this both sides. You don't want to become, better on your right than your left. So it's all about balancing it out. 1 on the right, and then we do 1 on the left, okay? So this leads on to a couple of techniques. So you've got the standard, I believe this is the half shower. So it's a cross between the cascade and the shower, like this. So I'm essentially passing the ball. See this ball at the bottom, it's just being passed to my other hand to be thrown over the top. So then you want to do it both sides as before, like this. So that's one technique you can do. And these are all beginner techniques that I would recommend to build upon the standard cascade. So the next technique we can do, it's just building on upon this. I believe it's called the reverse cascade. So rather than doing mostly under throws, we are doing all over throws like this. So they're all going over. Okay, and again, we try and keep them around the same height, nice and controlled. So standard, over the top, reverse. Okay, and then you can do tennis as well. This is a nice little one, where one ball just goes over the top and goes back. So it's the only ball. If you keep an eye on that ball that's going over the top, that's all it's doing. It's not in the middle like the other two are. If you have different coloured balls, it might help you learn a bit better. So, I'll show you this example actually. I'll throw a tennis ball into the mix, okay? Well, that's vibrant. So the tennis ball just goes over the top. It doesn't go in the middle like the others, okay? If you wanted to stop at the standard 3 tricks, that's absolutely fine. That's flashy in of itself, but obviously there are more confusing tricks which are a lot flashier, you know? So there's opportunities out there. But yeah, so I reckon around 30 minutes, keep at it and let us know how you get on. Yeah, part of the reason I love juggling so much is just that there's so many tricks out there. There's always something new to learn. I'm particularly fond of the Mills mess, which is a very flashy technique. But like I say, you only start off with the standard freeze-ball cascade. Let us know how you do, and yeah, perhaps I'll do another video if you want to learn some new tricks. Take care.